All right, today we're going to dig into a really powerful idea, one that's all about how to see the world more clearly. It's a method that pretty much flips our usual approach to understanding completely on its head.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. We are always told to just accumulate knowledge, right? Read more books, watch more videos, gather more data. But what if the real path to truth is actually about subtraction, about removing things, instead of just piling more on top? That's the huge idea we're exploring.
It's a great way to think about it, isn't it? We all believe we're seeing reality exactly as it is. But what if we're all looking through a set of lenses, these invisible biases that we don't even know are there? These glasses shape our perception before we even get a chance to think. So the very first step? Just realizing the glasses are on. Okay, so let's get into it. Part 1, the problem of bias. We need to define exactly what these glasses are. We all operate from this shared baseline of assumptions, a kind of collective lens. The source material has a great word for this, the zeitgeist.
The zeitgeist. It's that invisible, shared system that we're all operating inside of. You know the old saying about how a fish doesn't know it's in water? That's the zeitgeist. It feels totally normal, it feels like common sense, but it's actually a shared, biased starting point that colors absolutely everything.
So these invisible glasses, they really break down into 3 core filters. First up is our identity, who we are, our personal history, the groups we belong to. Second, we've got social norms, all those unwritten rules about what our society expects. And third, and this is a big one, language itself. The very words and categories we have actually shape what we're even capable of thinking about. These 3 things are just constantly and silently doing their thing in the background. Realizing these filters are there, well, it forces a pretty radical shift in how you look at things. Instead of just looking at the world, you have to start looking at the system that's producing your view of the world in the first place. And this right here is the absolute key. We tend to see outcomes, people's beliefs, social trends, whatever, and we treat them as the fundamental reality. But that's a mistake. We should really see them as the products of this biased, filtered system. We're essentially just looking at the shadows on the cave wall, not the actual objects casting them. This shows just how much of a reversal this way of thinking is. So typical analysis, right, it starts with a theory and then tries to apply it to the world. But this structural analysis does the complete opposite. It starts with an output, a belief, a behavior, you name it, and works backward to uncover the underlying structure that actually generated it. It's kind of like being a detective. You're tracing the clues back to the source. So how do we actually do this? Well, the source calls this the subtractive method, or, and I love this, systems archaeology. It's less about trying to build a new theory and a whole lot more about carefully excavating what's already there. And here are the steps. First, you just have to detect that the baseline, that zeitgeist, is biased in the first place. Step 2, you figure out which of those filters we just talked about, identity, norms, or language, are really at play. Step 3 is the big one. You have to temporarily suspend them. You don't pretend they don't exist, you just mentally set them aside for a moment to see what the world looks like without them. And finally, you just observe what's left, what patterns are still there, holding true, no matter which lens you take off. The key here, and this is so important, is that this isn't about replacing one worldview with another one. It's a purely subtractive process. You're just carefully brushing away the layers of dirt and distortion to see the actual structure underneath, just like a real archaeologist at a dig site. So what are we even looking for during this big excavation? What's the prize at the bottom of the dig? We're on the hunt for something called invariants. Invariants, that's the gold. These are the patterns, the relationships that just don't change. They're the things that keep showing up, whether you're looking at a system from a left-wing perspective or a right-wing one, through the lens of one culture or another. And because they persist like that, they're our most reliable clues to what the system's true nature really is. And when you start to piece all those invariant patterns together, you finally get a glimpse of the system's true structure, its real architecture. The source material actually gives the structure a name, logos. Now, don't get thrown by the fancy term. In this context, it just means the structural consistency of a system. It's that stable blueprint that's left over once you've stripped away all the distortion. It's the set of relationships that, well, they just hold true. And this quote, I mean, it just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly wraps up this whole idea. The best path to understanding isn't about piling on more and more information that just gets processed through our same old biased filters. No, it's about getting better at identifying and eliminating those filters to begin with.
So the real takeaway here is this. What invisible glasses are you wearing? What parts of your identity, your culture's norms, or even the language you speak are shaping how you see the world at this very moment? It's a tough question, for sure, but just asking it, well, that's the first step in this whole amazing process of subtraction. Thanks for tuning in.